Hello. We are here for our weekly romance oracle message. I hope you guys had a nice full moon yesterday, and I hope that you connected with the consciousness of soulmates and self-worth and self-love and unconditional love. And the energy around the full moon is usually good for like 3 days. So I think that if you planted those seeds yesterday, then I would say continue to sit with those feelings and those visions for the next couple of days. Although we do talk about how when there's a specific window of time and space open, you really have to utilize it during those specific hours. Just like if you went to, like, say, like a play or a sporting event or a concert, if you go to the venue at any old time, you're not necessarily going to see that thing. But if the event, right? But you have to go the day that the event is planned. So that is what was happening yesterday in the sky. And yeah, so let's see what we have coming up for this week as far as our romantic lives go. Ooh, we're back at risk. So I think that this is like a lot of things lately, I think, have asked us to take calculated risks. There's been opportunities that have come up in, I know for me, like other categories that don't relate to romantic love, but there are moments that I had to maybe feel like I was putting my heart out there, opening up in a risky situation, say with family, right? With a parental relationship. I have, put some risk out there recently as far as taking like calculated risks for opportunity's sake and investment's sake. So some risks are really, really good, and some risks are calculated and they are mature, and then some risks are seemingly outside of logic or transcend logic, but there are risks that you feel divinely guided to take. And then there are just reckless risks where you are sort of, you're using the excuse of, oh, I'm taking a divinely inspired risk, or I'm taking a calculated risk, but really you're just justifying risky behavior, reckless behavior. So I think discerning that sometimes the path feels risky and knowing when that's, just part of the journey, because that's, our whole journey is our process. And when we get obsessed over the destination and not obsessed over the process, then that's what causes unhappiness and what blocks fulfillment. Oh my gosh, restriction. So I think that we trust the path, because when it is a risk that might provide positive opportunity, it's going to feel warm and open, and you're going to be able to see, and have like at least the essence of a vision. Maybe you can't crystallize it into form yet, but there's going to be some kind of feeling that feels open and warm and inviting and like an adventurous sort of nervousness. Whereas, sometimes the path is shadowy and it's winding and you can't see that far ahead, and it's kind of like blacked out up ahead. And that is restriction. And sometimes, when the path is restrictive, we think that this means danger, or that something's off, or that something's bad. But sometimes we can trust that restriction, that it's working to protect us, or that it's working in our favor. Right? When we are under pressure in industry and we are like trying to create something and put something out there, when we have restriction, it creates like necessity is the mother of invention, right? And when artists are restricted, they get really creative about their materials and very ingenuitive, and they invent things and they create new things, and it becomes part of the work, is working around and working with and dancing with restriction, right? So I would say to be proactive with restriction is to apply restriction to your discipline and restrict your self-defeating tendencies. practice restriction in slowing down and not just going along with your easy or natural inclination, but actually challenge that and try to grow beyond it. And then as far as incoming restriction, handle it respectfully. Aries, let's see what's happening right now. Like Saturn is retrograde in Aries, conjunct Neptune. So this is that positive disciplinary restriction that teaches us and the disciplined skills and the good habits, and it creates strength and endurance and muscle memory for positive practicality and pragmatic action and follow through and consistency. So respecting restriction, understanding the nature of risk, and discerning what is healthy risk versus what is destructive risk. All right, what is next? I've noticed that we've had a lot out of this deck. We've had a lot of the path themed cards coming up. So I feel like this is really part of our journey. This is really part of our path, is like navigating this leg of the woods. Communication. I love this. So I'm seeing fall and communication here. And if you guys have any sort of irons in the fire of like social media, or if you are in marketing, or you're writing, or you're doing anything that's related to communication and media, or creation and putting things out there, fall is a very fertile time for getting things going. People are watching content, they are participating in things, they want to, get into the moods of the seasons. The weather's changing, so they're more likely to do cozy activities like reading, watching videos and things, listening to podcasts. They're also taking walks out in nature, right? Enjoying the foliage. This is a time for holiday shopping and all the things that go with holiday stuff. So if you were ever wanting to take advantage of getting something going and getting your ducks in a row at a good time of year, this is kind of the final stretch of the year to make the most of it. And so communication, all right? And I feel like with risk, I think that, and it's like, speak our truth, be confident in our ability to communicate, but also recognize when the situation is a bit risky and restrict our unconscious and sloppy communication. Not to use the word slop. That's, I'm everywhere. But be mindful in our communication. Communicate with care. Don't be careless with your communication. Be strategic and conscious, right? If you're communicating a message, right? If this is about creativity, putting your message out in an authentic way. Now, when we're talking about romance, putting ourselves out there, and when we are restricted in dating, then we have to trust that the restriction is for our own good, and that it is a time where the benefit is actually from going inward and doing inward healing, and then putting all that energy into our soul, our heart, our mind, our own life, right? It's giving you time, because sometimes there's something important on your plate that needs your utmost attention, and it's urgent, and there's a time that it needs to happen, and maybe meeting someone immediately in this moment might take away from your focus, right? So if you are feeling a little bit restricted on the path of love and romance and soulmates, then just know that this is for the highest good, and that even good fruit is bitter before it's ready. And so even if you met, say, the perfect person that really is going to be a really good match for you, and ultimately you have core compatibility, But if you meet them in the wrong time, it's still going to produce like an undesirable result. It's not going to be the best it can be. So if you are soon to meet a person, maybe they're going through something shifting in their life, or things are coming together. And so the prime moment to meet isn't quite yet. And the restriction on the path is a gift, and it's for the positive. So I think trusting the path, even when there is even when there is restriction. And I think communication, like when we do communicate, I think it's just like, be authentic, communicate your truth, communicate who you are. Oh my God, and Lady of the Lake is back this week. We have absolute truth. Oh my God, courage, self-respect, and responsibility. So this feels like the synopsis of this entire reading. This is about like connecting with our absolute truth and owning it and owning who we are. It's about courage to take risks and put ourselves out there on the path and show who we really are and be real and not be what we hope someone what we think somebody hopes that we are or whatever, but be true to our own self. Be courageous, have total self-respect and self-worth, and take stands on that, take action on that. Let go of things that aren't in your highest good and aren't in your don't reflect back high self-worth. Say no when that self-worth is challenged in that way. And hold out for what reflects your highest worth. And that is in, Venus rules both love and money. So sometimes when we heal our money situation or our ability to show up for our goals and our dreams, the doing the work in that way actually has a positive benefit in our love life as well, because our love life is reflecting back what we settle for in our finances and security and work and all of that. And just the opposite, right? If we need to have improvements in our finances, sometimes we need to take positive action and create boundaries and demonstrate self-respect within our relationships, right? So, and then ultimately taking responsibility, owning your stuff, and owning your half of the romantic dance of life. All your authentic truth, all your stuff, owning all your baggage, not projecting it on other people, and owning your own responsibility to uphold your boundaries and discern who is worth trusting and who has not earned that trust. All right, y'all, that is all for today. We will be back together tomorrow for our weekend reflection message, where we sort of recap all of our insights and lessons for the week. Until then, peace be with you. Ciao.